This week on FinTech Friday, I want to talk about the panel which we hosted at Money 2020 and the key learnings from that.
Rohit, big panel on Sunday at Money 2020 this past week. What was the most compelling insight that you took away from the whole conference?
The interesting part was that it was a Sunday and we had like almost 1,000 people in the room, which was pretty interesting to see that there's so much of interest in digital lending trends across the globe. We had a great set of panelists out there, people from McKinsey, Amex, HSBC, and Infosys. And I think the key learnings and the takeaways were the big institutions like Amex and HSBC are thinking about it, how they're thinking about the convergence, how they're thinking about adapting to the new environment. And Infi actually had very great insights into how traditional core IT legacy systems have to change themselves, because that's a big showstopper for a lot of large institutions, and how they go about helping these institutions transform themselves, and companies like Infi also transforming themselves. That's important. McKinsey really talked about the trends that they are seeing in the marketplace, and how the massive amount of disruption and the investment both which are coming in this space.
For our viewers who weren't able to make it out to Money 2020 just this past week, let's take a little peek behind the curtain, if you will, and discuss some of the same questions you answered on the panel. In particular, what are the big trends that are shaping business lending in the different regions that were represented on the panel?
I think there were three distinct trends. We saw one is big players like Amex and HSBCs, more open to collaborate and learn. That's, I think, is a very good, I would say, thought process. I think the second is the new ways of financing. So one thing we discussed about a lot was about supply chain financing, where people like Amex and HSBC are very keen to expand, and typically banks they've done very traditional supply chain financing. This is now getting to a point where you have all the platform play and all the apps coming in, data coming in. So I think that's a very, very positive trend. But the third trend is obviously how do you tackle the complexities of IT. So IT has been a big enabler of productivity increase over the last 30 years, but legacy IT has become a big challenge for big institutions to tackle. So that's where perspective coming from McKinsey, HSBC, Amex, and Infosys always extremely valuable.
So you mentioned there how what's at the heart of this digital process is the banks and financial institutions themselves. What is it that you learned from the panel that these companies are doing to really push forward the transformation of the industry on this digital path?
One of the thought process was very interesting about how banks are realizing that they need to create an ecosystem, play where they don't control the ecosystem, which is very much a change in their thought process. The second is that how they make systems easier for fintechs to work with them, because today your compliance, procurement, regulation is just too onerous and it takes too long. So I think that was a very important key learning. The third was the appreciation now around workflow automation, because digital is not just front end anymore. So I think more people are realizing. The fourth thing was around risk management, so I think that's a very important topic now, and how digital platforms should be able to do a better risk management. My take is that banks like HSBC and Amex, who joined us on our panel at Money 2020, are showing a lot of openness and willingness to work with fintechs like Biz2X and other players like McKinsey and Infosys. And these kind of banks will be big winners, in the business lending space.